So Simmers, welcome back to a brand new video. Have you ever watched another Sims content creator and wondered why does their game look so vibrant and warm? And then when you look at your own game, it looks bland and a little bit dark? Big chances are they are using Reshader. Reshader is a tool that allows you to put Instagram filters over your games. This is a tool that isn't exclusively used for The Sims, so you can technically also put filters on other games, but in this tutorial we're going to go over how to add Reshader to your computer and then to your sim. It basically changes the way that the default settings in the game look for things like color, lighting, depth of view, stuff like that. And I'm gonna explain all of it in this video. And however it might sound like a mod for The Sims, it is actually a vastly different installation process than any of the other mods for the game. So I'm gonna walk you through it step by step, and I'm gonna make sure that by the end of this video, your game also looks bright and colorful. Before we actually dive into the tutorial, there are a couple of important remarks that I need to make. The first one being that I am not a Reshade helpline. I know how to install it, but I don't know how to troubleshoot it. That means that if it doesn't work the way it's supposed to, I can highly recommend that you join the Reshader Discord, which I've linked in the description box down below, so that if you have any questions or you're encountering any errors, that you can actually ask the people that created this tool, the devs, rather than me, just a Sims YouTuber who simply knows how to install it. Secondly, if you've heard about Reshader, you probably also have heard about Gshade, and this is my official warning: do not install Gshade. I think it was about 1.5 years ago that Gshade was found to have malware in it, which is obviously something that you do not want on your computer. Reshader has been used for years and is completely safe. The only thing is, it is a little bit more of a tricky process to install, so that is why a lot of people ended up going for Gshade, and a lot of the presets that you can download, like the filters, are also available for Gshade, so people were like, you know what, let me opt in for the easy installation process. Unfortunately, this tool isn't entirely safe, and although the creator has stated that they've removed the malware, I personally wouldn't touch anything that has been contaminated with malware at one point, so the decision is up to you, but this is your official warning to decide whether you want to take that risk or not. And lastly, I would like to say that this video is not relevant for people that are using a Mac, because unfortunately Reshade does not work on a Mac. And if you're on a Windows PC, I would not recommend installing Reshader unless you have a dedicated graphics card, because as you can expect, boosting colors, contrast, all of those things for your game obviously is a graphical aspect, and if you have a computer that does not have a dedicated graphics card, the chances of your game becoming ridiculously slow or just crashing altogether are pretty big. With all of those important remarks out of the way, let's actually get started on the installation process. I'm going to take you through it step by step and explain where you need to find all the information that is relevant. We're going to start off by downloading Reshader. I can recommend always downloading the latest version of Reshader, so if you're watching this video in the future and it states a different version at the bottom, just grab the newest version. If you do the installation process as I'm gonna show you, it will work with the newest version as well. This just makes sure that you don't constantly get that pop-up in the game of like, hey, Reshade has an update. And also, just in general, I would recommend keeping your tools and things that you're using on your computer updated, so just make sure that you grab the latest version. I've linked this website in the description box down below. You can either click here on download, or you can scroll down to make sure that you can also see the version. But basically what you just do is you click here and then it will pop up in your downloads folder. This is what it will look like in your downloads folder. So you'll get this little exe file that you can just click to run the installer. Before you run the installer though, I have a recommendation, because I have noticed that unfortunately Reshade, for me at least, has a lot of issues if you are running The Sims on DX11. This is an update that came out about, I think, 6 to 9 months ago. Don't pin me down on the date, but basically it is like a newer version of graphical processing in your computer. And I personally found that as soon as you have DX11, the game and Reshader are not friends anymore. So what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna open your EA app. You're gonna click play on the game so that it actually opens, and then once it's launched, we're gonna change an important setting. So once your game has started up, you are gonna go into the context menu to actually open your game menu, or you're gonna press escape on your keyboard to also open this, and then you're gonna go into game options. Basically on the first page that says graphics, there's a little tick box that says DirectX 9. For me, it's already ticked. For you, it's probably not ticked, because by default, most of the Sims games, if your computer can handle it, will already run on DX11. If you have a bit of an older PC, it might be ticked simply because your game cannot run on DX11, but just know that this box has to be ticked. I am not 100% sure if you have an older PC, this box exists at all, because there is a slight chance that if this box is not there, your game is actually on DX9 by default, simply because the DX11 version of the game does not exist on your PC. I am not entirely sure about this, and I tried to Google it and I couldn't couldn't find it simply because I have a newer PC. It automatically installed the DX11 version of The Sims, but I know that is not compatible with all computers and all graphics cards. But just know that you either have to tick the box, or if the box does not exist at all, your game is on DX9 by default. That is important for Reshader because, like I said earlier, it doesn't really work on DX11. If you're not sure about what version your game is running, you can also check the bottom corner over here where it will tell you the game version and if you're running it on DX11 or DX9. If it says DX9, you're good to go and you can actually close your game. Before we dive further into the Reshader tutorial, I would like to give a quick word from our sponsor of today's video, The Sims Tree. The Sims Tree is a platform to bring your Sims stories to life. It brightens your gameplay, just like Reshader. Platform allows you to keep track of your Sims family trees and so much more. Not only can you see how your Sims are related and how your legacy is built up, you can also bring individual Sims to life by giving them a photo gallery with their most memorable moments and writing down all their traits, aspirations, and skills. It means you will have to never forget all the important things that happened in your Sims' lives. Two amazing features that I would like to highlight today are text formatting. You can now make sure that your Sim stories are perceived the way that you want them to. Highlight, emphasize, and mark the important parts of your story so you don't lose focus of what is important. And their mobile app. You can now maintain your family tree on your phone. All the features from the website, but in an app-sized version. It's smooth, intuitive, and makes it easy to use for people who are on the go or just have one screen. Interested in checking out the platform? Make sure to use my link in the description box and my code for a nice discount on their yearly plan. A huge thank you to The Sims Tree for sponsoring this video and partnering with the channel long term, allowing me to make more Sims videos for you guys. Now let's get back into the tutorial. Then the next step is to actually run that installer that you downloaded earlier. So you're just gonna double click on this file and it's gonna bring up this menu that is gonna ask you for which game you would like to install this. Most of the time, unfortunately, it does not find The Sims by default. I noticed that it finds every single game in my Steam library, but for some reason, it does not find The Sims by default. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to go into Browse, and then you're gonna have to find the file location. I did a little test run earlier, so I have mine open, but if you do not know where your game is installed, let me show you how you can find that easily. What you're gonna do is you're gonna open your EA app, you're gonna click on Manage, then you're gonna click on View Properties, and over here, you're gonna say Open Folder. From here, it's basically gonna pull up the Sims 4 folder. This is the source folder where it's installed. This is not your documents and mods folder that you might be used to working on if you have a modded game. This is literally where all the core files of the game are. The default location for this should be Program Files EA The Sims 4, but again, if you've installed your game in a different location, or maybe you simply cannot find it by using this URL, I can recommend going through the EA app and then opening the folder. Once you have this, as you can see, this is where all the data is, this is where all the expansion pack information is, and there's a folder called Game. Once you open the folder called Game, there's a folder called Bin. And once you click on this, as you can see, there's a bunch of things in here, but you're also gonna find the application files for The Sims, and there is one that is called DX9. That's the one you want to go to. That's the one that you want to have because, like I said, we're running the game on DX9. So if you have the other ones, those are the DX11 files, but you want to run the DX9 version of the game. So if you know where this file is, basically what you can just do is you can just copy and paste this little URL. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go back to that installer. You're going to click on Browse, and over here, you're going to just paste that URL. Like I said, I already had this folder open because I did a little test run to make sure everything was good to go for this tutorial. But once you have this over here, if you load it through the installer, you can also see there's a lot less files in here because the application loader can only load applications, so it's not showing all the other files in that folder. They're not relevant for this tutorial at all. And you're gonna find that The Sims 4 DX9. You're gonna click it, you're gonna select open, and then it's gonna say over here that entire string, basically that entire URL, and then you're just gonna click next, and then it's gonna prompt you by saying, do you want to install it for DX9, DX11, 12, blah, blah, blah. As you can see, there is a version for DX11. For me, it's not compatible with The Sims. For some reason, it gives huge errors. It keeps crashing my game. If you're a little bit tech savvy and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm open to trying if I can run it on DX11, feel free to try it and let me know in the comments if you can make it work and if you changed anything. But I know for a fact that it works on DX9, so we're just gonna run the DX9 install. Then from here, you're going to click on next, and this is where it's going to ask you which of the effects you want to install. I personally would recommend definitely the standard effects. The suite effects is toggled by default, and I just leave it on because I know some of the shaders that I want to use or some of the filters will have it. And then I can also recommend taking the legacy effects, just all of them. Don't go in and selecting some of them, just select all of them. You might have to double click the box because if you click it first, it will open and you can basically select. Just click it again and then it will get all of them in one go. The reason being is because a lot of Reshade presets are actually made on way older Reshader versions. And if you don't get the legacy effect, there is a big chance that the Reshade presets that you might want to download will not work. Personally, I do not get any of the other ones, but as you can see, there's a huge list. If you are interested in installing Reshader for other games, always make sure to read which of these filters or shaders it actually needs to function, because sometimes you might have to rerun the Reshade install to select multiple filters if you want to add effects to your brand new game that you're installing it for. For The Sims, I think with these three, you should be solid, and most of the presets that you're going to download should just work fine. You can, in fact, also load preset files over here, but I'm not going to do that right now. I want to show you how you can do that after the installation, because I can imagine that you might be downloading Reshade presets after you've already installed this and you want to add them to your game. So I might as well just explain the way that you can add it later rather than having to do it now and then you not knowing how to install presets later down the line. So for now, we're just going to do a next, and then it's basically just going to load everything, and then it's going to tell you successfully installed Reshade. Click the finish button to exit the setup tool. From here, you're basically good to go. So now it is time to actually download some presets. I have linked my 2 favorite presets in the description box down below. The one that I basically always use, that you will always see on my game, that is always in my videos, and that I also use on my live streams, is the Dove 2.0 preset by Kindle Spice. And I love this preset because it makes your game, as you can see, this is the default, this is the Kindle Spice version. It is so incredibly warm. It is very like cozy and light and colorful without it actually looking like an Instagram filter. So a lot of people will see that something is different with my game, but they won't be immediately able to pinpoint that I'm using a filter. And that is personally what I like, because it feels like an enhanced version of the game. If you're looking for something that is a little bit more filter heavy, something that I really like is the Taro Milk Tea preset by Melixa. Melixa is a fellow Sims 4 content creator, so please make sure that if you download her preset that you also make sure to check out her socials, because she's absolutely wonderful. But for this preset, it does say G-Shade preset, but you can just use it, download it, and it also works on Reshade. I've actually used this in my game as well, and she also gives a little bit of additional information about like how you can actually use it to make sure that it looks similar to what she has in her screenshot. She also talks about sunblind, and let me know in the comments down below if you would be interested for me to do a tutorial on how to install the sunblind lighting mod. I've talked about the sunblind lighting mod in a couple of my mods videos before. Again, it's not a regular mod that you have to install. You have to go into the game files to actually install it, and it completely overhauls the way that your lighting and your shadows looks in game. I personally don't use it at the moment because it is quite heavy to keep updated, but let me know in the comments down below if you'd be interested, if you're going to download this preset, or if you're just in general interested in that. But for now, I would say you can still download this preset and use it without having sunblind installed. It's just going to not look exactly like her screenshots, but I still think it looks absolutely stunning. From here, what you're going to do is you're just going to download the file. Here it is a Patreon file, and then on the Kindle Spice website, you're going to have to go down, and then you can also click on the download button for Patreon. It's just going to load her Patreon page. You're going to scroll all the way down and you're going to download it. Just a little remark, I know that sometimes when people hear Patreon, they think it is paid. A lot of things on Patreon are free. Patreon is simply just a page where you can make things early access, but a lot of creators, specifically for The Sims, will have early access periods, and after that it will become free. So please don't be frightened by hearing Patreon and thinking that you're going to have to pay for this. All of this is free. You can use Reshade without having to pay for it. Once you have downloaded those 2 files, you will actually see them show up as .ini files in your downloads folder. So what you're just going to do is you're going to select them. Then you're either going to right click to copy or cut them, or you can just select both of them. I'm holding shift, or you can just drag, and then you're going to do Control C or Control X, depending on whether you prefer to use your mouse or keyboard shortcuts. You're going to go to your bin file, which is basically where that game was installed, right? This is where we found your game file earlier. So if you don't remember, it was here and then opening the folder, what you're going to do is you're basically just going to drop them. As you can see, for me, it's going to tell me that I already have this file. That's because I originally had Reshader installed and I uninstalled it for the purpose of this video. For you, it shouldn't say that it's replacing something. For you, it should just go into the folder. But as you can see, the Kindle Spice Dove 2.0.ini and down here, Melixa Taro Milk Tea.ini, they can just be in this folder. You don't have to put them in a subfolder or anything. Just dump them in here and you're all good to go. Once you've done all of these steps, what you've basically done is you have set up Reshader, you've installed it, you have selected the right version of the game for launch, and you have installed your presets. So from here, it is time to, again, launch your Sims game, and then in-game, we're actually going to set up Reshader to make sure that you know how to control that menu. When you're launching the game, it's going to show this little overlay saying that Reshade is being loaded and that is successfully installed, and that you can press Shift F2, or for me, it is Shift F2. For you, probably it's just F2. It's remembering my settings for my previous installation, but if you don't see this overlay, you did not install it correctly. Make sure that you see this upon startup of your game, and it will tell you what button you need to open the menu. So please check it and remember it, because again, it might be different from the Shift F2 that I have set up. I think by default it is F2, but don't pin me down on this. Just make sure that you read it over here when you see it. In my case, you can also see that my game has already loaded the presets that I've had, because again, it's remembering the settings for my previous installation. But fright not, I'm going to show you how to set it up. Once the main menu has loaded, you're going to press Shift F2 and it's going to bring up the tutorial. This is basically your little walkthrough of the menu. So it's going to tell you like, welcome, if this is like your first time using it, we're going to walk you through the tutorial. I can recommend actually following the tutorial if this is your first time using Reshade. So you're going to click continue, and then you're going to say, this is the preset selection. All changes will be saved to the selected preset file. Click on the plus button to add a new one. I can recommend to actually go in here and actually create a blank preset that you're going to call default Sims 4, and then hit enter. And basically what that's going to do is it's going to create a preset that doesn't have anything loaded onto it. It's creating a preset without any filters or anything. So just in case you ever want to go back to an unfiltered version of the game, you can go back to default Sims 4. From here, you're going to click continue, and then you're just going to skip all of the effects. You're going to say continue, and you're going to say finish, and that's it. Now you're on the default Sims 4 preset. You just have it so that you can always go back to a completely unfiltered version. You can, from here, still add all of the effects that you've installed, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that for the default. Once you have this menu, you can actually click up here, and then you will see that folder where you've dropped the .ini files, and you will find Kindle Spice and Melixa. From here, if you want to actually switch to your preset, you can click the Kindle Spice one, say select, and then it's going to load it in, and as you can see in the back, it immediately changed the look and feel of my game. If you click here again and you load the one from Melixa, it is completely going to change the look and feel of your game. And basically you can, like I said, always go back to that one that we've created earlier. That is called default Sims 4.ini. You're going to click it and it's going to go back to the one without any effects. If you don't create that one in the beginning and it's going to just load into an ini file, let's say one that you installed in your folder, one of your presets, that is also completely fine. But what I have noticed in earlier versions of Reshade is that it doesn't create one that is completely without effects. And then if any effect ever breaks because a game update or a Reshade update and you don't have a default, you're gonna have to completely uninstall Reshader to fix your broken presets, because there's no like temporary version where you can just go to a version without any effects. You can always create that in hindsight, like you can go here and add a new preset, but I personally have found that the bugs still remain, and then some of the presets won't unload, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. So please don't skip that step. Please create a default Sims 4 one for yourself, because it's just going to save you a lot of hassle if ever anything breaks. Now that you have Reshade installed and you know how to switch between your presets, let's actually quickly talk about the menu that you see below it. However, I'm not going to go in a lot of depth with this, because this is a tutorial to install Reshade, not a tutorial on how to customize Reshade. But as you can see, this is the long list of effects that you've installed. From here, you can actually turn on and off effects. I know that the bloom or the quint bloom one is actually also part of this specific Reshade. I would not turn this off. I would not turn this effect on for like gameplay at all times, because as you can see, it makes your game glow like crazy. But if you're taking screenshots of your Sims for storytelling, or you're taking screenshots of your houses for socials, stuff like this can make a big difference. I will turn it off for now because it is quite intense, but just know that you can play around with all of these filters. You can literally just turn them on and off. The magic DOF is another one that is quite infamous because it will basically make the depth of field, so like the part that is blurry and the part that is sharp, you can play around with that. This is just like Instagram filters. Have a field day with it, customize it to your liking. You can even create like a little test preset and then just play around with the filters yourself. And for every single specific filter, you actually can adjust all of the settings. So you can drag up this menu. There's like the little bar over here, so you can just drag it up. And then you have the little toggles that you can open and close for all of the filters. Like I've said, like every single filter will have its own little menu. And from here, you can actually adjust all of the settings. So for instance, the ambient lighting, this is something I have a background in photography, and sometimes stuff like this will still not make sense to me. So do not worry if you're seeing this and you're like, what does it all mean? Feel free to play around with it. You can also reset everything to the defaults, which like you see now, it will actually reset it to the default version that came with that preset that you installed. So play around with it. I actually turned the ambient lighting down because I like it if there's a little bit more contrast in my game. So I even adjusted the Kindle Spice filter to make sure that it still fits my needs even more. So this is the part, as soon as you have it installed, where you get to have fun with customizing the way your game looks and making it more vibrant, making it more contrastful, making all the pinks stand out, whatever you want to go for. Before I wrap up this tutorial, there are a couple of final things that I would like to share with you. In the Reshade menu, at the top, there is one little bar that says settings. This is where you can actually set up all of your hotkeys to take like screenshots in game, because if you use a default screenshot in The Sims, it will not have your Reshade installed. You're actually going to have to take a screenshot through Reshader. I have actually set up Shift F12 to be my screenshot key, and then you have to set up a little path. This is basically just the folder that it's going to save all of your screenshots to. And then for the screenshot name, I can recommend keeping like app name, date, and time the same, because then all of your screenshots will just be filtered by like when you took them in the folder. It makes it a little bit cleaner to work through and like find your files later. From here, you can also change the hotkey to open this overlay altogether, and you can actually change the key to toggle certain effects. I have Shift 2 as a little command to toggle the blur. So when I'm taking screenshots of my Sims, sometimes I want the background to be blurred, but when I'm playing my game, I don't always want to have that blur. So I just have a little shortcut key so that I can turn on and off that blur really easily. This is all up to you, what you want to set up. If you feel like you just want to play with Reshader, you just want to have that filter and nothing else, don't worry too much about this. This is mostly relevant if you're a creator and you want to take a lot of screenshots with like different effects on it. I would recommend setting up the screenshot key and path, because otherwise you will not be able to take screenshots with your Reshader at all. And if you want to close this menu, you're just going to press the same button that you used to open it. So in my case, that is Shift F2. If you change that, that's going to be completely up to you. You can bring it up anytime. So also not just in the menu screen, but also in your gameplay or in your building. You can change it anytime you want. That is basically all the settings and the entire installation process of Reshade. And now, as a wrap up of this video, because let's say that you install all of this and there ever comes a time where it's either broken, you don't want to use Reshade anymore, you're switching computers, or you're playing The Sims on a computer with lower settings or anything, and you're like, you know what? I want to get rid of Reshade. I do not like it anymore. Actually, you have to uninstall it properly, because otherwise some of the files might linger and your game might get issues with graphics. So what you can do is you can actually exit your game from here. You can close it, and then I'm going to show you how to properly uninstall Reshader. To uninstall Reshade, you're actually going to go back to your downloads folder, or you're going to find that exe file that you downloaded. If you installed Reshader a long time ago and it's like, I don't know, months, years later, and you want to install it, you can just download the newest exe file from the website. So you're just going to go back to the download link in the description box. You're going to grab that exe file, you're just going to download it, and then once it's in your downloads folder, you're going to run it again. And you might think, huh? But what do you mean I'm going to run it again? I want to uninstall it, not install it. I know, feels a bit counterintuitive, but from here, you're going to browse, you're going to find the game that you've installed it on, because you can technically uninstall Reshade for The Sims, but keep it for your other games. So you're going to find that game, you're going to click next, you're going to select Direct 9, and then from here is going to be like, hey, we actually noticed you already have Reshade installed. Do you want to update it? Which is nice if you have like a newer version. Do you want to update reshades and the effects, which will allow you to go back into that menu where you can select multiple effects. So if you ever download a preset that needs additional effects installed, this is also how you're going to do that. Or you can select uninstall reshade and effects, and then if you click next, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to go through the hassle of installing it again. But basically, if you click next, it's just going to uninstall it, and the next time that you're going to load into your game, reshade will be gone. The settings of your reshade and your presets will still be in that game folder. So if you want to get rid of that, anything that is called reshade or a .ini file, you can just delete it to get rid of it as well. But it's not necessarily necessary unless you actually run into huge bugs with the tool. Then I can recommend getting rid of all of the .ini files in your game folder. So basically, if you go into that folder where your game is, you will see kindlespice.ini, you will see default.ini, defaultsims.ini, there's the reshade logs, reshade 2, 3, like all of them, you can just delete those, because if you ever reinstall reshade, it will just reload those files again. It will bring them back. Personally, like you just saw in my game, it remembers certain settings as well. Like it remembers my hotkeys, for instance, and it remembers my screenshot path. So if you don't want to lose all of your settings that you've set up, like your hotkeys and your screenshot path, but you do want to install more effects, or you ever want to uninstall it temporarily. For instance, I participated in Twitch Rivals, so like a Sims tournament on Twitch, and I had to completely uninstall all of these things for my game to make sure that I was running a modless and like untweaked version of the game, completely vanilla. Then I actually had to uninstall Reshade, and I had to get rid of all of this, but then I reinstalled it the next day, and I still had all of my settings. I hope all of this makes sense. From here, I'm just going to do cancel because I do not actually want to uninstall Reshade, but all you need is just the installment file, and then you can just uninstall it from there. I hope all of this made sense. I hope that this tutorial actually taught you all the things that you need to know to install Reshade. Again, I would like to emphasize that I unfortunately am not a troubleshooter for Reshade, so if you run into any errors or issues, I can highly recommend joining the Discord that I've linked in the description box down below, because I simply probably most likely won't be able to help you. So I hope that this tutorial helped most of you, or it provided you with the resource to help you find the correct help to install Reshade, and hopefully enjoy a beautiful, bright, and colorful Sims 4. If you like this tutorial and you learned something new, please feel free to toss a cheeky like or leave a comment, even if it's just your favorite emoji, because stuff like that really helps the video get to more people. If you are interested in seeing more Sims content, feel free to check out my channel. I do tutorials for modding, mod overviews, reviews, building tutorials, and I'm playing my own Let's Play for my self-written legacy challenge called the Pack Legacy. And if you're interested in any of those, feel free to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone!